I bought a Sony FX3 in September of 2025. Is this a smart idea or is this a really dumb idea? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Cole Caparoon. Thank you for stopping by for another video. Now I'm gonna unbox this real quick and then I wanna discuss to you why I feel that it's still a good idea to buy an FX3 in 2025, in late 2025. But first, let's get this unboxed. All right, let's unbox this thing. Okay. Now, one of the things you might not expect to see is Sweetwater candy in a camera thing. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Cinema line, yes. So I will put links down below to this camera. They are affiliate links. If you use those links, it costs you nothing extra, but I do get a little bit of a commission. So we're gonna talk more about that in a little bit. So inside we got some paperwork here, manual. Here. Oh, it comes with a battery charger. That's awesome that it actually comes with a battery charger, because this is my third Sony camera. They did not come with a battery charger. Let's see what we got here. This is probably the top handle. Yes, XLR top handles. This is gonna be the camera itself. Look at that. And then we get one battery. Now, why in the world would someone buy an FX3 in September of 2025? The rumors have, if you pay any attention to the camera world whatsoever, you know that the rumors have been swirling about the cameras that are upcoming. Sony is always releasing new cameras. They release at a very fast pace. However, they don't refresh cameras necessarily at the same pace. But there's a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of rumors swirling that this year we were gonna get an FX3 II or an FX4 or whatever they're gonna call it, the next new version of this camera. So why would you buy this right before the next thing comes out? Well, today in this video, I'd like to explain to you why I felt comfortable buying this, even though the new one might be coming soon. Now, the first thing, which was I did not plan on talking about in this video, today, this morning, Sony released a new firmware update for this camera. Now we get the big 6 menu, we get a few extra things, some bug fixes and whatnot. So Sony is still dropping firmware updates, and the best that I can tell from my research, that means that the new one is not coming soon. Now, obviously this is speculation, but I'm gonna tell you why I don't think the FX3 II is coming like in the next month or two. And I'm gonna explain why, even if it does come in the next month or two, why I'm still comfortable buying this. Now, I looked at all the patterns of the firmware releases for Sony cameras and how far before their new version of the camera was released. And I found some interesting things. Now, one of the things that we gotta say is the cinema line, the FX2, the FX30, the FX3, and even the FX6 have not been around long enough to know if this pattern is gonna hold true for the cinema line or not. But the fact that they just dropped an update today makes me feel a whole lot more comfortable than I even did when I bought this 3 days ago. Let's take the A7 III versus the A7 IV, for instance. The A7 III has gotten updates after the A7 IV was released. So that, first of all, that's awesome. That means that those of us that still own the A7 III, or those of us that are still buying the A7 III, because it's still an incredible camera, we're still getting support from Sony, and that's awesome. But that doesn't do anything for us to let us know if there's a new FX2 coming, because they are still dropping updates for the A7 III after the A7 IV was released. Now, when we get over to the A7S line, this is where things get a little bit different, and that's what this camera is based on, the A7S III. Now, the latest firmware for the A7 II was released many, many months. I think almost 6 months before the release of the A7S III. Now, I would think that the pattern of these firmware updates probably makes a lot more sense to compare it to the cinema line, because the A7S line is kind of the foundation for this smaller cinema line, or at least for this camera. So that's one clue that makes me think that the FX3 II or the FX4, whatever it's going to be called, probably isn't coming in the next month or two, maybe by the end of the year, but not anytime real soon. And the next thing that might make me hesitant of buying an FX3 today is, what are the specs gonna be on the FX3 II or the FX4? And what would they have to be for me to be upset about having bought this? Because This is an incredible camera. They've shot Hollywood videos on this camera. Some of the best footage I've ever seen in anyone's video across all of YouTube has come from this camera, which gets into the whole, it's the subject, it's what you're filming, it's what you surround it by, it's how you light it, it's how you tell the story. That's really the important part, way more so than the gear itself. But that aside, the FX3 has produced some of the best images I've ever seen. But let's talk about specs for the FX3 II for a second. Now this has full frame 4K at 60p and 120p at 10-bit. So they're not gonna outdo that any. I mean, I can't see the next one having 4K 240 at full frame. Maybe it will, but I don't even need that. That would make no difference to me. It having a higher resolution sensor wouldn't make much sense because that kind of is the opposite of what the point of this camera is. The point of this camera is very low rolling shutter and a very fast readout speed. So going higher megapixels, I don't know if I see that happening. Maybe they bump it up to 13 or 13.5 megapixels, just so that way maybe they've got more room to do different stabilization or something like that. But even so, I don't care. The active stabilization on this is it's more than enough for me. There's only one spec that the FX3 II might have that might make me regret this, and that's if it gets a global shutter. Now, for those of you that don't know, global shutter just means that it's taking images from the entire shutter all at the same time. So there's no warping, there's no jello effect, there's zero rolling shutter in a global shutter camera because it's not reading out the sensor like this, it's reading it all simultaneously. And there is a different look to global shutter cameras in movement and in panning, and especially in fast movement. There's a difference. Global shutter cameras look awesome. So if tomorrow the FX3 II gets announced and it has a global shutter, yeah, I'm gonna be like, that's kind of a bummer. But even still, this has some of the best rolling shutter of any camera that you would use for YouTube and for stuff like what I do. So that said, no, I feel completely comfortable with the fact that a firmware just came out today and the fact that this does everything that I want a camera to do. And even if a camera comes out tomorrow, with the exception of a global shutter, this is still doing everything that I need a camera to do and has already produced some of the very best images that I've ever seen. So I'm happy with it. I'm pumped about it. I'm pumped to get this rigged out. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe because I will be doing several videos on this and comparing this to my A7 IV, comparing this to my Sony A6400, just talking about the differences, rigging it up, and we'll be doing some lens reviews here very soon. So don't forget to subscribe, but I will also put a link to this camera in the description down below. It is an affiliate link. This video is not sponsored. I did pay for this camera, but if you use that link, it goes a little ways to help this channel and I earn just a little bit of commission without it costing you anything extra. It's time to rig this thing up. Thanks for watching. Peace.